See the red light, so, red light, here we go. We're recording.
You sure? Because it was a black dot, not a red one.
Yeah, now it's.
Oh, okay, good. All right, people. It is 6:30. I'm calling this meeting to order. This is the Enfield Planning Board. It is Wednesday, the 24th of September, 2025, and the time is approximately 6:31. Planning Board members present from my left.
Linda Jones.
Eric Russell. Dan Kylie.
I'm David Frack.
Tim Jennings.
Dave Miller.
Paul Bianco.
Griffin, alternate. And Jorgensen, alternate.
Staff.
Rob Taylor, staff.
And who do we have on team?
Kristen will be joining us.
Okay.
But she's not on yet.
All right.
Yep.
Couple of announcements. For those of you who went on the site visit today, I thank you for your attention and your perseverance. This was one of the best site visits that I have had the pleasure of leading since I've been chair of this board. It's been a long day. We are going to try to limit this meeting to the standard 2 hours. In order to do that, we are going to have the Laramie Farms continuation of its hearing until 7:45. At that point, we'll have a hard stop. Those who are interested in staying for the next 2 hearings are certainly welcome to. We will next have the Bart and Bevy, which is the proposal for the repurposing of Mickey's Restaurant. And that will go till 8:15. And then we'll do the boundary line adjustment. And hopefully we'll be able to end that at around 8:30 or perhaps a little bit later. My co-chair and I are proposing that we leave the rest of the stuff on the back of the agenda page, which is the various reports, minutes. Well, we gotta have public comments, so we'll do those. But we want to put those off till our work session, the special meeting on October 1. So if the board is amenable to that, we will put off that stuff until October 1st. Let's see, in terms of Laramie Farms, I'd like to remind everybody that this is the planning board meeting. Primarily, it is for us. We will take questions and comments from the public at appropriate times. Tonight, what I would like to do is have all of the questions directed. What did we see today? And why did we see it? And what does it mean? And we can get into the weeds on this. I'm sure Carl will be happy to answer any and all questions from the board and also from the public. Members of the public, when you ask a question, please identify yourself and where you live. Our minutes are being taken remotely, and the minute taker can review the tape, but she needs to know who you are when you speak so that she can attribute whatever you say to the correct person. That's about it. So let's continue land use case P250801. Carl, do you want to come up? And I will entertain questions from board members on what we saw today. Who wants to ask the first question? Somebody?
That's all.
Sure. Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, yeah. Judging from the amount of, restoration that's going to be done on that land, what's going to happen to the timber that's taken down? Is that timber of any use, for sale, or will it just be scrap?
So the question on timber is, on the plans, we have areas where we would, retain, some wooded areas, obviously, and, others we would be removing, introducing slopes and then regrowing the slopes. So you can actually see that as a perfect example, case study is that, years ago, not too long ago, a good half of that property was actually timbered. And then it started to regrow, and on our sidewalk, you can see the regrowth was pretty much as tall as we were, with a really good mixture of indigenous species of trees and shrubbery and all of that, which you would expect, and that brings back the wildlife and everything. So we would be doing the exact same thing once we get done with the project and the cuts and fills and slopes and everything, is to energize those slopes with native vegetation and want to bring those back and keep those as transitional areas, conservation areas, which would be about half the project conservation easement. So in terms of the timber, it's typical we would file for intent to cut, through the RSAs in the town and do all of that. And but there's not a lot of old growth left on the area that we are actually developing. You can see when we walked through, there were saplings. There were some mid to young growth through the townhouse areas, and out where the apartments, that was pretty much all cleared there. Obviously not cleared on other people's properties. I think some abutters had left their tall timber stands up at the top of the hill. Other abutters have cleared out theirs as well near the bottom of the hill. But that's basically, and you can see how quickly that grows back in, and, was literally over our heads in certain areas that had already been cleared out, and we wanted to continue that process on that. So there's not a lot of value in that timber that's left over because it's small stuff. But in those areas, we would say, you can see the limits of the clearing and grading on our plans.
Thank you.
But I have to thank you, the board, thank you, the public for who was on that sidewalk. That was a pretty aggressive sidewalk, Mr. Chair. Usually that we covered a lot of linear footage. And I don't know, maybe it was over a mile, but we're able to see a lot of things and point to a lot of things, and we could go anywhere that you wanted to. And but we even prepared, Stephen spent a lot of time on those walking areas with machines so that we could get there and move along and see what you needed to see and stake out, things that we needed to see.
Yeah, for a 70-acre lot. I think you folks did an excellent job of marking out the salient points and making it relatively easy for the board and the public to walk from place to place across the entire lot.
Right, and that was the developable portion, because, the 70 acres is about the developable portion. The other half that, is still going to be in conservation.
Yeah.
So, I think what's the format tonight? I know we don't really have a lot of time. People are tired. I'm tired. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I know that this is a process, and at the last meeting, you had laid out a lot of issues and a lot of questions, a lot of things that you would expect out of us, and we have been working on those.
Mhm.
So we don't want to belabor you with all sorts of details and everything, but we are working. Stephen and his wife put together a list of action items that we are internally working on. There's 37 items you asked for, and we are working on every single one of those very positively. I think some of the 37 you already made some decisions on, which is fine. Others are bigger than others. But basically on the 37 items, we had different basic classification of work. And We are working on all of those. We have scheduled our lighting designer. I talked to her again today. She's on vacation this week. She never goes on vacation, and she's on vacation this week. And yesterday she was at an all-day lighting seminar. But I did have a chance to talk to her, and she's putting together her reports. And the design that we gave you the last time was actually done to what you would expect, which is dark sky friendly.
Mhm.
And also the design that we gave you in a previous, and in that packet did indeed have the lighting fixtures. And it also had, and she educated me on this, and it was exactly what you were asking for, actually. And I didn't even recognize it till I went back in to look at it. But there were about 12 categories of lighting areas, and we'll go through this later.
Yeah,
Of what's a pathway light, what's a parking area light, what's a lighting around the building, what's, aesthetic lighting, what's access. So all of these have different qualifications and qualities, so we don't want to overlight the site, but we still want to meet specs. So we're going to be having her back in for all of that. We also have the architect preparing more detailed plans, and he's coming in to talk the next meeting with you about the building design. It's like as much detail as you ever would want on those buildings, and it's really a really good design, much better. We've improved that since you gave us that advice. So that's coming in. We also have the traffic engineer, and Stephen, you've been working with her, and she's been working very closely with the DOT.
Correct.
And she's planning on being here for the next meeting. Route 4 and 4A was not in the scope meeting. She is preparing a letter for us as to why. And she's prepared to answer any of your questions on that at our next meeting. We thought from the layout you gave us at the last meeting that we were gonna talk about the application this meeting. So I kind of pushed everybody off to the next meeting, because you said the next meeting would get into all the nuts and bolts. So that's why I have the architect, the lighting, the traffic, my attorney, we're all the whole team's gonna be prepared to be here so each professional can answer each of your questions more intelligently than I could,
sure.
okay?
In terms of process and timing, what I thought would be the best way to do it from everybody's point of view would be to go through our standards and requirements in the site plan review document, starting off with site characteristics, perimeter screening, then going into traffic, parking, loading, safety, et cetera, until we reach the end. So I think we might be overwhelmed if your entire set of experts appears at our next meeting.
Okay,
And maybe, let's see, we've got traffic, and that would be, there's a lot there. We could probably do section 5.5, which has an awful lot into it next week. And then we've got another whole section on water and drainage. And exterior lighting and signs. So that might be the following meeting. And then we've got water supply, sewage. I have a hunch those are gonna be, we're gonna have to get into a lot of detail on that. I know there are concerns that have been expressed by several members of the public. So that will happen. Sewage, I think, is pretty straightforward because that's just a tap into the municipal system and it all goes to Lebanon. ADA stuff, well, we don't have a floodplain, we have wetlands, so that will probably be taken care of. That's the order that I would like to try to follow on this.
okay.
And I don't have a real good feel for how long we're gonna spend on each subject. But I want to assure the public that we will spend as much time as we need to, and we will address all of everybody's concerns. Everybody will be heard. I can't promise that everybody will be 100% pleased with the outcome, but we want to hear what people have to say, and we'll go from there. So,
I just wanted to make sure that, whenever you got into each of your topics, that we would have our experts here
yeah,
to address that. So I would have to have some type of a heads up to
Oh,
who I'm
yeah,
bringing
yeah.
and for what reason they're coming here, who, that's
Yeah.
all.
can we do that on a essentially month-to-month basis?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
And Rob will be your liaison on that,
okay,
and Rob and we usually talk within a few days of the meeting just to sort of recap and debrief. And at that point, we can decide what we're going to likely be covering at our next meeting.
Yeah, that sounds appropriate, because it allows us, as we advance the design. So in taking notes and going through the site plan regulations, and your site plan regulations are very logical. They cover everything
Mhm.
and they go in order.
Sorry.
Whatever order you would like to put them in, that's fine if you change your mind, but like the drainage sections, that would give our engineers us time to actually get more of that drainage design completed,
Yeah.
which is great, because we just got done with test pits and everything that
Mhm.
came out great. But as we advance the data and advance the information, we can provide back to this board more detail as we go along, even though we're in the preliminary design phase, we want to answer those questions appropriately. The traffic, I'm not sure if you need us to do more with DOT early now, and then, so the next meeting, that would probably be the most important, like, we'd need to know what we need to really focus on for your next meeting and roughly what that date would be. But if it's the traffic, if it's drainage, if it's lighting, or all of it, it doesn't really matter to us. But you don't have to make that decision now. Like you said, if you go through Rob and you can just tell us, and we'll reassign our resources on the team accordingly to make sure the details are done before, 2 weeks before the meeting, that type of thing.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. You're agreeable. I think the board is agreeable. And that's what we'll do. Tim?
So the boards agreed on the selection of a third-party engineering firm to review the design on behalf of the board. When does that start? Because there's kind of no point until you get your design a little further along, yes?
Well, some towns or cities will initiate review, and we do anything. We look forward to reviews. We actually do well with reviews at any shape, size, or type. So some towns decide they don't want any reviews. They don't want anything talking to anybody until the very end, at the final. And we do that sometimes. Other towns will say, well, we want to initiate the reviewers a bit early so they understand the design aspects. And we even sometimes have pre-design meetings or a design meeting underway now that we're getting into the weeds and all the details. And that actually works really, really well.
Mhm.
And, Steve pays for that, but it's actually very efficient that way. So the reviewers will tell us right up front, you might want to look at that more carefully, or we would come together and agree on like the AOT drainage design standards, for instance. That's just one example for drainage. Those AOT design standards are very, very tough, very high. No one's going to have a more tougher, that's not correct English. No one's going to have a tougher review standard than AOT. That is like the hardest badass, design criteria that you need to hit. And usually the engineering reviewers say, you know what to hit on that AOT stuff, and it's tough. It's really tough. And we're prepared to do that. We're actually already underway. So, no one's gonna get away with anything. So if you want to say that the AOT would be the gold standard, those engineers up in Concord reviewing this, and they go crazy, which is great. We like that. I think the peer reviewer would probably just agree with that because, there's no higher standard. So it's up to you. I mean, we can have pre-application meetings, pre-design meetings with Rob and anybody that you have for a peer reviewer, because we're ready and we invite that. So, if the board wants us to initiate that, we can on any topic. And we'd be happy to do it at any time.
Cause I think I'd like to see a report from the town's engineer on the designs before we start going through these items one by one, at least for those areas that are dealing with the kinds of things the civil engineer would look at. The drainage, the traffic, what else?
Landscape, sewer, basically, if you go through what the chair said on those main topic items for site plan review, the third-party reviewer would touch upon those. Some, there would be a deeper dive than others. I mean, we have licensed landscape architects on our staff and some companies don't. So we're happy to do that too. But, I think that what I'm hearing from you and the public is, that the most important things are traffic and drainage. Maybe water supply, and, we'll meet all that criteria. So we don't, it's really up to you guys, but we welcome an early review session, then wait till the very end, at the very last minute, and then they initiate a review. So that we'd be happy to do that if the board wants us to do it, that would Rob.
I'm in agreement with you that having a third-party reviewer alongside at almost every step of the way leads to a more collaborative process, because if the reviewer flags something, you can address it at the time, and depending on what we're talking about, there's got to be a domino effect. So if you've got to modify something in drainage, that might also modify a road and lighting and so on down the road. So from my point of view and from projects that I've been involved in, the more collaborative effort there is, the smoother the project goes. So Rob, have you had any conversations with the?
Not since we got that.
Okay,
response.
so what we need to do, if the board is in agreement that the third-party reviewer should jump in sooner rather than later, we'll start to set that up. Eric, comment?
No, I just one request is that the reviewer provide their summary of each meeting to the board.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, they'll do.
Yeah.
They'll do meeting minutes when they meet with
No.
you guys. And
I want to make sure we get the reviewer's perspective of everything.
Right, you're not gonna want to just hear from us all the time.
Right, oh, right, we don't.
So you'll hear from your reviewer for sure, and we'd be happy to work with him or her or their team or whatever. That's perfectly.
Yeah,
fine.
so my question for you, Carl, do you think you're far enough along on your design process that you could have like a 500-foot view meeting?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
We would welcome that. Yeah.
good. So Rob will get that scheduled.
so, until that gets a little further along, and I think our reviewer says, okay, I've been working with these guys and made some suggestions, recommendations. Here's a list of that stuff. Here's the minutes of the meetings we've had with them, so forth, all public record. It seems like it's at that point, we would then take the engineer's recommendations and either just, accept them or probably have a bunch of questions, that sort of thing, get those answered. And I'm not sure what the point of just going through these things tonight is gonna do for us until all of that's done.
Well, I think there's probably a lot of questions that the public is interested in addressing. There are questions that I know I'm interested in addressing, and I assume other board members would have input.
Okay.
And I think the more input that we can give to Carl and his team, the smoother the process is going to be. And the better, it'll be a better final product to benefit everybody.
So you guys need to know everything that we need you to do. Right? You get a list of 37 items. That would actually be a handy thing to have a copy of for us.
So I think we can do that. Those are, I mean, Stephen, those are your own notes that you
Yeah.
were trying to read
Yeah.
off my scribbles, but, and some of those were items that
I
were,
was trying to interpret it from this.
but, they were,
See
very
that? See what I've been interpreting?
so,
So
but yeah.
between his and my end.
And
we
you had another.
Mine was a heck of a time also.
I think
but,
what we can do is consolidate those
Yeah,
and
and he-
actually give you a memo back because we
Yeah.
took notes on what the public was asking us. And I know the public's gonna be,
Is some of these were comments, some were questions,
Mhm.
okay, and like, for example, somebody asked about solar. Someone asked about I think the same woman asked about the, instant hot, like Renai's, or things like that. So all of that is part of all of this, okay? But at the top of the list was, Route 4 and 4A.
Mhm.
And we are working on that with the VHB, who's our traffic consultant right now. They've been on that.
Can I
Okay.
just ask a follow-up on that? That will be included, you're saying, in the traffic impact study, that intersection?
No, it was not included.
It's not. So what do you, when you say you're working on it with VHB?
Well, I think that what she's trying to come up with, data from the state. Okay,
Mhm.
and to answer your question, a little bit more intelligently than I could. So, and she gives reasons why it wasn't included and why it didn't need to be included. But she's better at doing that than I would. I think if I attempted it, I would kind of be saying something wrong. And it would probably bring out much more questions that I still wouldn't be able to answer.
Mhm.
That's why I was bringing her to the next meeting. Because she's the professional, she's working with DOT. It wasn't part of the scope meeting and they had a reason why.
Okay.
Okay,
So I just want to be clear, notwithstanding the DOT scoping meeting, we've asked for that intersection to be analyzed. And I think 3 times, back to the very first conceptual a few months ago. And so if I'm understanding correctly, your traffic engineer is gonna come here and tell us why it's not gonna be included?
I think why it was not included, okay? And it is a state road, so.
We have asked for that, though, just to be
I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do
So just
understand.
for the minutes, to be clear, we have asked for that intersection to be included in the traffic impact study, and
Okay.
it's not. And it's not going to be. Is that?
I did not say that. You're saying that. What I'm saying is she's first gonna come here and talk to you about why it was not included.
Okay.
Now, if it ultimately ends up included, that'll be a decision we make, after that meeting.
Okay. But just to be clear, we have asked for it
Oh, I understand.
multiple times.
I understand that.
Yeah. So please, let's just make sure the minutes reflect that discussion. That we have repeatedly asked for that intersection to be in the traffic impact study.
I think the way it played out was you asked, was it involved? And I said, I wasn't positive and that I would get you an answer on that. And so I got you the answer. That was from the last meeting. I got you the answer tonight. And that answer was, it was not included in the scope meeting. And she has her reasons why it was not included in the scope meeting, including from the DOT. So I thought that maybe if somebody could answer you, who's a professional, maybe you would understand and you say, oh, okay, I didn't understand that, then, all right, we don't need that. You know, that's all that's about.
I think that the DOT determined that, as you probably know, the scoping meeting is a DOT-led meeting. We arrive at that scoping meeting. There's other representatives there as well, including regional planning.
Yeah.
And we attended the meeting. We show up and they look at our project and they tell us what the scope shall be. I think, obviously, if you offer to, analyze every intersection, the side of the state, they'll say, yeah or no, that type of thing. We know it's a systemic issue. We know it's on the corridor. We know that there's left turn issues there from 4A, and we know that's not from our project. There's certain things we do know, and we do know that 4A is a regional collector from the southern portion of the lake, not including Enfield, but other areas, all the way down to Springfield. And that is an area that, if you look at OD, origin destination, journey to work, we know what's happening out there. You know what's happening out there. You live it every day. There's a left turn issue where you have to wait a long time. The intersection geometry looks good. It's just that you have to wait a long time. The DOT has a plan to implement on the corridor. It probably would be a signal, but our traffic is our through traffic there. We're not making left turns. We're not making
But
right
you're
turns.
gonna impact the left turning people.
Well,
You put 200 and something more cars on Route 4 headed to Lebanon.
Yeah.
It's gonna have an impact on the
Yeah.
people coming up 4A,
that
which
is
is why we asked to
right.
have that intersection
So-
included in the study.
So if at the scoping meeting with the DOT said no, because that's on a plan anyhow, or, what is that plan and when is that plan going to be implemented? Then, to Steve's point, we know that you're asking for it. So our traffic engineer is now initiating the discussions with the DOT on the corridor, what's happening with the corridor, what's going on with the corridor, and what is on their radar screen, so that we understand that, so we can respond to you. And the first session was the DOT did not want us to even look at it. It wasn't even on the scope. We asked them and they said, this is what you're going to do. So now that the town, and you've asked, I agree, you've asked multiple times, well, what's going on there? So Stephen is now
Carl,
reinitiating.
I'm gonna interrupt you for a second.
Yeah.
I think what the board would like to know, or what I would like to know, is what impact this development is gonna have on that intersection. And that is something that your
Yeah.
traffic engineer can develop a study for, so that we understand as a board what kind of impact this is gonna have on the people using that road. When you put a couple of hundred more cars on Route 4 headed back and forth, where there's already a problem. So we would like to understand what the incremental impact of adding the additional traffic will have on that intersection. That's what we want to know. And I understand that the DOT did not include that in their initial study, but I think the board is concerned on behalf of the people of Enfield on the impact that additional traffic is going to have at that intersection.
I
That's
think
fairly
we're saying,
stated,
I
yes.
think we're saying the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
and I think, well, I'm hopeful that, our traffic engineer, can get the data that's required to answer that question for you.
okay,
Okay,
excellent.
and I'm not trying to be argumentative, I'm just saying that, I'm trying to give her time to get all the data put together, so we actually know what we're talking about.
Sure. What I think we don't want to happen is for her to show up here and say, it wasn't included, and here's why.
Right.
Yeah.
We can have that conversation, but yes, exactly as Ben was saying. I've been to many DOT scoping meetings. I understand the process very well.
Okay,
Notwithstanding that they didn't include that in the scope of work for their driveway permit purpose, this board has asked for that intersection to be analyzed. So if the traffic engineer is going to come here and tell us all the reasons that it shouldn't be analyzed, that's not going to be a productive conversation. We have asked for it multiple times, and we're going to ask you to have your traffic engineer analyze that intersection for us.
And I want to follow up Nate's comment and state that the reason that the board wants that included is because we have defined your development as a development of regional impact.
Mhm.
So the development not only concerns residents of Enfield, but it also concerns residents of towns, as you stated, all the way to Springfield, possibly beyond, who use Route 4A, and they come to that intersection of 4 and 4A. There's already a problem with people having to wait. And as Ben said, when you add another 300 cars or more, that is likely to have an impact on those people coming from 4A turning to go to Lebanon. And we feel it's a subject that should be looked at and addressed, not only for Enfield residents who live on 4A, but also for people all the way out to Springfield,
Mhm.
people who live in Lebanon and take 4A. And there's quite a bit of development along the lake and roads off to the side. And all roads lead to Lebanon, unfortunately. So I think we kind of beat
We
the
hear,
horse.
we definitely hear
We beat the
you.
horse to death.
Yeah, yeah,
To
and
put in my 2 cents worth, we're 40 minutes into the meeting and we haven't gotten to any input from today. So if we're gonna keep to the 7:45,
So,
we really
right.
need to move
Yeah.
it to a different
so
subject.
we
at
will
this point.
provide you a summary report on all of the items from before, because I think that tells a story and also it answers
Mhm.
some trivial type questions, but also the big ones in the room, like the elephant in the room would be this
Right.
intersection
Yeah.
we're talking about. And there's a few others as well. We're not avoiding that at all. We're just getting off the sidewalk and we felt the land and all that. And, there's gonna be other items on here that are more important than others. What are you doing with your sewer design and all that? We'll have those, that's coming along really well. What are we doing with the water design, supply and pressurization and FPA? And that's moving along. And I know there might be some people in the audience talking that want to make sure we are on that. And there's other items that you decided you don't need. But of these items, lighting, a lot of lighting, the offsites, the things that we talked about on the sidewalk, the drainage.
On the lighting, how are we gonna address that? Our civil engineers are gonna look at lighting. And we're just gonna use our best judgment to evaluate what they presented.
I think our third-party reviewers have people that have that sort of expertise. Rob? They do?
Ben had asked for that to be in the scope specifically for the third
Right.
party.
Yes, and we're almost ready, actually. In both submissions, we made improvements on the lighting, and we have lighting color plans for you, fixtures, specification tables, pole heights, lumens, foot candles. We have tables on average foot candles, maximum, minimum, the ratios, maximum, average min, all those ratios, all that stuff points to your regulations and also points to really, really good lighting design. Heidi, she's the best in the business. And I learn from her every single time I sit down with her and meet with her and go through any lighting design. I just learn a lot. And so that was already submitted to you, but it's all codified. It's all like little numbers and symbols and
Mhm.
everything. But you asked us to work on that and you specifically, this is part of our list, you specifically asked for a comparison between what we believe is good lighting design and appropriate, and then what your regulations say.
Yeah.
Because there's some mismatch, there's apples and oranges there. And this is a good thing. We're not getting around anything. We actually want to do a better design what the regulations say, and they're outside of some of those ratios. And it means there's less lighting actually that we're providing, but still meets the industry standard. So I wanted to get educated on that, and we are. She wants to do a report and come and interact with you and the abutters on a lighting package when you guys deem appropriate in your sequence of events. So the lighting design has been done for the site. And like you said, we'd be happy to have her meet with your reviewing engineers, and they might have some other comments or suggestions. We'd be happy to take on those. But so that's well along. We haven't not done anything at all. We're actually well along on that design, even though we're in preliminary, but it's important. So that's why we're doing it now.
Okay, so let's bring the conversation back to the walk that we took around the property today. Board members, any questions or comments?
Just I'm trying to get a feel for the driveway going in. You're gonna be about how many feet down from where the water tower entrance is where your entrance is going to be?
It's to the right of that, not by much, but 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet, somewhere in that
But then
area.
you're gonna cut it so that there's less of a,
Yes, so we're gonna provide a really nice access road,
Right.
meaning AASHTO standards, DOT standards, no more than 10%.
you're gonna have, okay, your grade's gonna go from 20 to 10 then.
Correct. Right, it'll be
It'll be 10 for a small stretch and then it's
flattens out.
flattens out.
Flattens out.
Right.
And
we'll
you're gonna have a negative grade at the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah, we'll have a platform there at the entranceway. We'll have sidewalks all the way through, curbing all the way through, lighting all the way through. It'll feel really, really good. A lot better than what you have, and I don't know how you get maintenance trucks up to that tower, 8 months out of the year. But this would be, beautiful for them to get up and around and then have areas to work in. So that access way does have cut. That's the biggest cut we have. And it does have cut, and where we were actually walking would be a side slope, all revegetated, naturalized. So that design is very well shown on the plans with all 2-foot grading and everything. We have drainage shown. Now we're getting into the details of inverts and exactly where catch basins go and drainage control goes, and including the sidewalk design that we're interconnecting to the end of your existing sidewalk on Route 4.
Okay, and the other one is ballpark, how far do you think you're gonna be moving that stream for the box culvert?
If we might not be moving it at all. If we can get the technical profiles to work where we have the box culvert
Right,
in with very little to no impact, except for underneath, and the stream would have, natural bottom stream with a culvert box over it.
Yeah.
Because that's what Fish and Game is gonna want. That's what they're gonna want when we apply for these permits,
Right.
even though the same stream crossing Route 4 is just a
I know.
little tiny pipe, but
Mhm.
they don't care about that. But hydraulically, it would be very, very nice.
okay,
And aesthetic will be nice. So I know in our preliminary design, we had effectively slid the stream impact over to accommodate the road design, so the road can be offset the property line and everything, obviously, and still far enough away from the tower, the water tank. So that is, we're tweaking that design right now so that, and we explain that to people in the
Right.
site walk. We're trying to talk as loud as we could, but people will still
Yeah.
come. So that is a spot that we are paying very strict attention to. And it won't be any worse than what's shown on that
Okay.
plan. It'll actually be better.
so it shouldn't have an impact on the water tower then?
It will not have an impact on the water tower, correct? We're gonna balance that so that the stream goes around the back side of the water tower. It
Right.
has some wetland swales around the water tower
Yeah.
because it's all plugged up with vegetation, which is fine, but we don't want to impact that.
Okay,
And we would like to keep the wetland impact, the stream bed, as minimal as possible.
Yeah.
So that's a exercise in 3 dimensions with the grading and the profiles and the platform off Route 4, and I think we have it. And you're gonna, I think, be pleased when you see that plan because we're lessening the impact. And that was I think, a primary item of the sidewalk.
okay, thank you. That's all I've
Okay.
got.
Anyone else have questions or comments?
I have one.
Linda?
When this might be premature, but when you spoke to DOT about extending the sidewalk down to meet theirs, was there any discussion? Was there did they support that? Did they? Their fire hydrants and other things in the way.
Right.
I guess I should ask if that's been discussed with DOT yet.
The answer is I don't know, but I'll find out. And maybe Steve knows, but in the scoping meeting, I think they were basically talking generalizations, what they're gonna study, what they're not, and how they're gonna attack the warrant triggers for left turn lanes and that type of thing. So we know that there's gonna be a front door impact on that corridor. We know
I think
that-
There's a bus,
Right.
stop there.
Yeah, so we,
That's the eastbound. Have you had any discussions about westbound?
actually, the bus stop would be westbound.
Right.
Yes, the bus stop is westbound. I'm sorry, I said it back.
Yeah, and that'll be a separate protected lane.
If someone is going in on the bus, going to want to come back on the bus. So has there been any discussion on the other side of Route 4 as to where the bus can stop?
Not yet. I know Stephen has initiated.
Well, I think how that would work, the bus has a regular route that it takes. So when it starts dropping off its normal stops, when it comes back headed westbound, it stops on the westbound side again.
You
Right?
mean someone's gonna have to go all the way to Canton to get off?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm telling you that you don't usually have a bus stop here and a bus stop over on the other side. There's one stop.
Yeah.
I think there are ways,
Right?
we know we're gonna have a left turn lane, so there are ways that we can negotiate with the bus companies, how they want to service the residents. And that's gonna be coordinated with the DOT. I don't believe our traffic engineer at VHB had talked to that level of detail yet, but she's reinitiating with the DOT on all of that, including the sidewalk improvements. There is a water main going right down along that edge. There is most of that area is at grade or fill, but there's one section that is a cut. We all know where that is, and there will be a cut there. We'd have to work within the existing right of way and put a wall there. We might have to look at how deep that water main is there and replace that section. And we might have to move some hydrants around. It really, that's what, when we get into the weeds of that, you're absolutely correct. Absolutely 100% correct. And that is now the new traffic engineer through VHB, same company, but Christine.
Yeah.
So it used to be Jason, he got us to a certain point, and Christine is taking over. She's like a heavy hitter, and she's like heavy into the traffic design. So that's the next step, is to coordinate all of that.
So as it stands, now, someone traveling eastbound can get off down at the community building, and then they'd have to walk back up the hill.
Well,
We don't know the
Without
bus
an
route.
improvement.
right.
We don't know the bus route
Right.
Well,
yet.
we do.
We're still in talking with the bus company. And they've agreed to have a stop. We wanted it in the project. They said they wouldn't go in the project, that they would stop at the bottom of the project. So their route, I'm not sure how their route runs or how they plan on picking up or dropping off. But I know that in the other cities, they have stops, and that, if that's your stop, that's where you get off. Whether you gotta go down to Maine and over here and come over and come back and get off, or you could get off somewhere else and hoof it.
One way or another, there's either gonna be a demand where it's gonna be beneficial for the bus company on their revenue to actually get up in there and move around, or if there's not, we'll have to address it one way or another. There might be a crosswalk, there might not, we don't know, but we did know that on at least the westbound side, we have a protected area for a bus. The bus isn't just sticking, out into the traffic. That's a protected slide off area and through. And then we also probably have a left turn lane as well. So, but we're not gonna be dropping, people off in the middle of the road and expect them to like wander out,
Right.
but you're absolutely correct.
They do.
We have to have a plan that addresses all of that. And, Christina's, that's what she's working on now.
Yeah, right now, they've got to stop at Enfield Garage, which would be across the street from the new sidewalk. New
Yeah.
sidewalks put in, so they don't have to go all the way down to the community's building to get off the bus.
Where do they cross?
Excuse me?
Where would they cross?
Probably need a new crosswalk.
Probably need a crosswalk, right? You'd have to get a crosswalk put in to go to the sidewalk.
But that all has to be planned
That's up
out.
to the-
And, yeah, I know you're gonna
It's
wanna
back to,
know.
that's up to the bus company
But it's also a part of the DOT
and the DOT.
permit and everything, and with the town input, so that, you know, we know that,
So we're getting into the weeds
Okay.
of traffic here.
Yeah.
And,
But
let's,
this is good. I thank you for bringing that up, and, you know, Nate and you for bringing these issues up, because I know that's probably one of the most important items of this.
Yeah, I've got a general question.
okay, Tim, and then I will ask a question, and then if no one else has, then we'll open it up to the public.
So at what point would, abutters have an opportunity to, talk with the planning board or with you guys about, any specific things they might request that the developer do, to mitigate any sort of impacts they might see on their stuff? So really, I don't know what that could be, you know, some screening or a fence or something like that, but, there should be I would think an opportunity other than the middle of a public hearing to do that.
It's up to Steve and you as a board and collaborating with Rob and,
I honestly don't know if there is a law or RSA regarding that sort of communication. I know that the general feeling, and I think this is stated in our site plan review, is that board members cannot communicate directly with the developer or his team. And I just don't know if that applies to members of the public or not. Nate, do you have any?
I don't know that there's a law related to communications between abutters and.
How about common practice?
Depends.
Okay, this is not your first rodeo. How do other developments?
There are times like when we're working on the inner cities where a neighbor would ask, would we be willing to put up some trees to blind it? And that's just simply an agreement that we come to between each other.
Mhm.
And in other cases, you know, the board never gets involved in that. Okay, but butters get up and they say, like, for example, you know, I have, my dog plays over there and he gets nervous when he sees people and things like that. Is there any way you could help blind that area or things like that? So we get that a lot. And we typically work with people on that.
So you work
As long
directly?
as it's reasonable,
Uh-huh.
sure, absolutely. I don't have a problem talking with anybody.
Okay,
And I don't think there's a law you can't, but there's no law forcing me. Right?
okay,
Yeah, I'm okay with all that.
So
All right.
would it make any sense for, the abutter who feels like they need to express some interest like that to talk to Rob? And at least get it.
Tim, I don't think that's the purview of the board. I think
Yeah.
they're a part of the general public. They can
Right,
speak on their own, or they can stand up in this meeting and say, I don't like it, but you know, that we as board members can't have those direct communications with the developer, but the public can, and the abutters certainly could. And should,
yeah. we should-
yeah,
or stand up here and say, I'm an abutter and I don't like the whatever.
you know, I personally, I would like to see as much of that communication happen within the context of our meetings here. Because what bothers one abutter might bother four others.
Absolutely.
And three of the four others may have not have even thought that it would be a problem. So I'm, I'm all for this kind of communication happening within the context of a public meeting. But, as Ben says, there's no rule that says that they cannot reach out to the development team and express a concern. But I think on a project this size, it's to everybody's benefit that concerns be expressed in the context of one of our hearings or public meetings.
Absolutely.
Now to my questions. Your test pits were done within the last month or so?
Within the last week.
Okay. And within the last week, we are in, I think, what's called a severe drought. I'm not a hydrogeologist, but I would assume that indicates that the water table would be lower than during normal rainfall times.
Well, I mean, Kyle could probably answer that better than me, but I think that typically, like when they do T-poles and perks, even though you're in a drought, you may go down 10 feet and there's no water, but what they look for in that cut is what's called a model line. And that's like a rust line that stains
Yeah.
the earth, and then they would use that as like the seasonal high water.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's pretty much how,
That's correct.
that's how it would
So
work.
the seasonal high water table on the side
Yeah.
of the slope
Right.
is high. And we noticed that, and we are designing to those high water marks, which are, very shallow. And we
Mhm.
expected that from day one. That's why we have so much drainage ponds as part of our infrastructure, volumetric especially. So we have the capacity to hold that back and treat it and, release it at a very smaller rate, but enough to keep the downhill things still fed with water. So our test pit results came out really good, better than we thought, but the seasonal highs are high. We already knew that, and you know that. And we actually walked through all those areas in the meadows. And a lot of those meadow areas are actually jurisdictional wetlands.
Mhm.
And no one would never know that. We walked right through it and, we didn't go squish or anything, but you're right, it's normally dry out this whole season. But there's other indicators that meet the criteria of a wetland. A lot of times we're walking on top of something, we don't, it's perfectly dry and we don't know. It is actually jurisdictional wetland. And you
Mhm.
walk through some areas and over some areas that were just that, and you'd never even know it. But we're very, very conservative with that delineation, and those test pits are coming in exactly what we thought, because we're thinking, we always want to over design to this. And so with there's adjacent wetlands, and then the slopes are very linear on the transverse element, that you're going to just assume there's seasonal high near the surface, and that's it. And if we have anything different, you're going to say, well, what's going on with that? How did that happen? So the third party reviewing engineers are going to see the same thing. The
Mhm.
state's going to see the same thing. So that's why we're, being straight up with it.
So my follow-up question, I spent many hours chasing springs down hillsides. And given the amount of earth moving that you're going to do, I would expect that some of those wet areas might change. And my question is, once you're built out, will you commit to remedying any problems with drainage and water flow that exist or that crop up as a result of the construction build out?
But that's a nested question there, but we have certain legal responsibilities. This would be a site under the site plan approvals. The bottom line is we're not allowed to cause problems, basically, in layman's terms. And if there are problems caused by us, then yeah, we have to fix them. But if there are other problems that are already out there, we can't make them worse. And we need to monitor that and check it. That's why in our design, we have several locations. We're not just collecting water in a big area and spewing it out somewhere in one point source. So we're actually spreading that flow out just like it is naturally right now, spread across the hillside, as you mentioned.
Mhm.
So on those plans, we already have on there, even preliminary design, we know there's going to be under drains that bleed water out at a controlled rate. We need to have that actually. There's cross drains even on the service, emergency access road. We're not collecting on one side of ditch and then blowing it out. We're actually collecting it on one side and crossing the road in several locations to replicate the existing conditions that are out there, which is basically a transverse panel of underground flow. So those things that, you know, we know from experience, like the emergency access road will be slightly, 2 feet, 24 inches of fill. We can't be cutting up the slope and it's transverse. And everyone knows, and especially living in an Enfield, that if you do that, you're going to create washouts. You're going to create a lot of problems for yourself. So even the art of gravel road building, is applied here because you guys have done it for hundreds of years, even for emergency access road that meets NFPA standard. So the answer is yes, we will accommodate that. That's all reviewed in the drainage report. I know that there's some intercept swales along Maple Street. That's our down gradient side of some of this project. Those swales look like they're having issues, and we want to make sure that we're not making them worse. And we want to look at that system and make sure that those swales are working properly. Since there's some pipes that are clogged up, I know that.
Yeah.
There's a swamp across the street that needs to be fed, and that happens right now by happenstance. And the people that live along Maple Street, I would agree that they would be concerned to make sure that we're not going to make that worse.
Mhm.
If anything, we want to make sure that that's made better. I know the DPW equivalent out there has always been looking at those swales and the driveways that have culverts. So we just want to make sure that we're mitigating that before it gets there.
Okay, Bill, can I open it? People have been waiting for an hour, and Jean, I saw your hand up first. Please state your name and where you live.
Jean lives in Lodge Road. First of all, I just want to make a quick comment about the company working with neighbors on the side to do things for dogs or whatever. It's called transparency. So I totally agree. It needs to be in an open meeting. But anyways, my other question is, I'm hearing that there's 37 things on the list that you as a board are waiting and hoping to get. And I'm looking, and I printed out today your standards and requirements. And I say to myself, for me, if I was sitting on that board, and I'm sure all of you are excited that I'm not, that I would feel like I'm being fed a fish line. And it's like little pieces, tiny pieces. Maybe this is a standard process that these are how these great big projects are done. I have no idea, not my expertise. But it just feels to me like this is being really dragged on little by little. And I feel like, okay, maybe the hope is that we drag it on little by little, we'll wear them down, and finally they'll just say, oh, sure, go ahead and do this project. So I just have real concerns that there's this big list out there, and then I hear that things are being asked for multiple times. I feel like people are not doing their homework, and for me, I feel like, why isn't more of this brought together before they're coming to meetings?
So I can answer that. So, and I agree with you on your interpretation, your perception. So the 37 items were items that Steve and I wrote up. It wasn't a list that the board had. It was really basically just the ebb and flow of the conversation from the last hearing. We made notes. Now, if we weren't being transparent, if we were just trying to hold off and just like hang out for a while, just hopefully stuff goes away, we wouldn't make that list. That's our own voluntary list of things that we want to make sure that we don't leave anything out. And it's 37 items, but a lot of those were just, innocuous stuff that was already decided we're not going to talk about, or things that just, just happenstance items or curiosity items. So there's items that are very big that we're working on. There's other items that half of that list are just innocuous things that were just by happenstance. It's our own voluntary list. So we're being transparent with you because we're creating that list on our own voluntarily. The board's not, no one's making that list but us. And we want to make sure we're not going to miss anything.
So
So-
you're saying that the board, I'm sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you, has not requested anything other than what you
They-
put together yourself?
They put requests out on the table, probably out of the 37, there's probably 12 requests out of that are significant and appropriate and important. There's other items that we just want to make sure that we didn't miss anything. And we created that list on our own. They didn't even know. And just basically so we can get our work done and not miss anything. So if anything, we're being extra transparent. So, and we even offered to the chair that we're gonna take our own notes, our own 37 items and list them all out and explain everything and address everything. So, you know, we're basically doing that work so that you would see that we are open and transparent. If we weren't, we would be putting this under the rug. We wouldn't even be talking about it. We wouldn't tell you that we had 37 items. The board would say, well, we have these, 6 or 8 items. Keep going. We're like, okay. So, you will see that. And that was something that Steve and his wife just put together over the past couple of days, because we wanted to make sure that we weren't going to be surprised and forget something. So I know that you don't believe what I'm saying. I can tell by your eyes, but I can tell you right now that normally we don't do this. We don't voluntarily start putting lists together, but they, Rob would give us a list, the board would give us a list of the really heavy items. But, yes.
I don't know. It just feels like it's being dragged on and like I said, maybe this is the
Okay,
standard
so
process.
that's the
so-
point. So we're not dragging, actually, we're taking it slow for you.
On my 37 item list, okay, there were 5 that the board asked questions about. 4 of those were traffic and 1 was the school. Okay,
No water.
no, not at this time. And this is our second meeting. And I agree with you, it is being dragged on. I think I'd like to be done tonight. So, and like, just so you know, I'm also writing a list right now of everything we talk about. Okay, so that if Kyle and I talk in the future, we know, hey, remember someone asked about the Renai hot water heaters? If you look, we said, yeah, we're gonna be using instant hot water heaters, but I put it as a note, just so we know what people are talking about. So right now I have 10 items from tonight. Okay, the one from the board was still the traffic. We were gonna have a traffic lady here tonight, but we were told we're gonna be dealing with just the application tonight. So we had everybody scheduled for the next meeting, and now we're changing that meeting again. So we're ready. We're just trying to play along to get along. That's what's going on.
Okay, anyone else have questions on what we saw today? Gentleman in the hat.
No, I don't have a question on that, but I want to follow up on Gene. We just heard the gentleman,
Name,
oh, I'm sorry, David Stewart, George Hill Road.
Thanks, Dan.
Heard the gentleman say there were 37, we heard there's 37 items, and he said that they drew them up. And then he backtracked and
No,
said, well,
we-
12 of them are from the board.
No, there was,
Next year.
there's
And
1,
then
2,
we heard
3,
it
4,
wasn't
5
12.
from the board.
I'm hearing different things and out of the same,
No, you're not.
first it was 37 that you made up. And
They're
then,
right here, 37.
can I finish? You've talked enough.
Mr. Stewart,
And
please
then,
be
and then there were
respectful.
12 items that the board had on the 37, and then it was 6 to 8 items to the board, and then you said it was 5. So I'm hearing all kinds of things all over the board.
You're absolutely right, because Carl wasn't looking at the list. He just said it could be 12 from the board. I just counted them from the board. And that's why it's 5. Okay,
Okay, do we have anybody on Teams that wants to ask a question? I want to try to alternate. I don't see anybody,
nobody's got
so
'em up.
what?
Nobody's got a hand up.
Nobody's got a hand up. The woman in the back, in the middle.
I am Betty Plickta, Crystal Lake Road. I have 2 things. One is that when I was here the last time, I got to see a picture that I believe you said had been redrawn to look more like the stone building that's on 4A, the Shaker things. I actually gasped when I saw it because it looks like a prison. And I went home and I Googled what prisons look like, prison images. And sure enough, that building looks like a prison. And I am just gonna hope that what people aren't seeing is a giant prison complex up on a hillside, nor should it look like a giant Holiday Inn. Second thing I just want to say is that for the select board, when you mention the number of cars, because I was very specific with this gentleman last time when he said there's 1.3 cars per apartment place and how many cars. I think we roughed it out to more like 750 cars, so please don't use the number 300 cars coming out on 4. Thanks.
Second row.
When dessert 18 seems.
Gwen, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
It's okay. So, thank you for having the site visit today. I think it was very helpful for a lot of people. With that, it made me want to reiterate requesting a two balloon tests. We could see from there how far we could see, but people in the community can't see the property. And I know you mentioned about doing a drone video, but people actually have to go and watch that, where if there's a balloon test or two for the different height buildings, people going to work will be able to see that without having to pull up a video online. So I would like to request again, the balloon tests. Hopefully on the site visit today, people noticed the buffer between my property and the developers. It's that old town road. So there is no trees. Again, please take that into account. I know when we go through the criteria, I will bring it up again, but please keep that in mind from the walkthrough. I would like to get clarification more, not tonight. Once the decision on moving that stream, if it is moving even slightly, I almost feel if it moves at all, it should go back to the zoning board for another special exception. That was not discussed at the when that special exception was granted. It was just the culvert. Pretty sure didn't discuss moving it at all. So if the stream does move, I feel it should go back to the zoning board to get that special exception updated. And the last thing, I don't know if you guys can answer that tonight, with going through the criteria under the exterior lighting. It references Article 4, Section 9, Item 12, which I cannot find in the zoning ordinance, as well as Appendix B. So I'm wondering what criteria are we looking at for me to know where do I look to see what the planning board has to observe, since those aren't in the zoning ordinance.
Let me see if I can answer that question.
And the appendix or the index or the, it says it's an error if you go online, but there's no section or item 12 under section 409, and there's no appendix B.
While you're looking that up, could I make a comment about the balloon test?
Go ahead.
I appreciate why those are done, but I can't bring myself to understand why we would need to do it now. That seemed to be a test that would have made some sense to do when this development was in front of the ZBA.
They directed me to you when I brought it up with them.
Well, that was probably not what they should have done, because it seems that is the question that's trying to solve is the town happy or not with the height of that balloon and height of the building? That's been decided. So at this point, I just can't see what the point is in putting the balloons up.
When page 59, at least of the version that I'm looking at, has the lighting rules.
The site plan review document has it must be referring to that appendix B, because appendix B in the site plan review document is outdoor lighting design standards. And it goes through it there, and then the site plan document.
Let's see. Dan Reagan.
Hi, Dan Regan. Steve, you gotta explain, I got 38 items here. Great. I'm only gonna
What took you so long?
I'm gonna hit two, actually. First of all, I think, Ms. Dessert is always extremely well-spoken, very well thought out, very well researched. I want to petition for her to get onto the planning board, so it's a separate. But the balloon test, Tim, I respectfully disagree with you. There was only 40 of us on that site visit today, and we got to see things from the ground. There was another 4,000 in town that can't appreciate what this is gonna look like yet. It's not just about the height, it's about the entire look from Route 4, from Route 4A, from downtown, et cetera. I can appreciate why the developers wouldn't want to do this. I can, because I think a whole bunch of people in the town are gonna look at that and say, are you kidding me? Is this what we're talking about? So I don't think it's just a ZBA issue. It didn't come up for vote at the ZBA, as I recall. It was just a decision that was made. So I would have to go back and verify that, but I don't recall it being a vote. Even if it was, I say it's a town issue. It's in addition to maybe something that should have been done at the ZBA. So it's been discussed now for 9 months, kicked down the road. I'd like to see a decision made on it, and I'd like to see it implemented.
I can confirm it wasn't a vote at CBA.
Thank you.
What I recall from the ZBA, that both of these people talked about the
Both of those
balloon,
people,
pardon me?
when you say both of these people, who you're referring to?
I mean, I forgot your name, so it would be you
Yeah,
and her. I don't know your name.
that's Mr. Zer.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Both, okay, talked about the balloon, issue at the ZBA level. The ZBA, did they have a vote? I don't know, but they made a decision about about not doing it. Okay, now, was it a vote? I don't know. Can they make decisions without a vote? I don't know. But the ultimate decision was no balloon test. They gave us the height requirement, that we were looking for, and I think that height thing is behind us. And even if we put the balloon up, I don't understand what would happen. I mean, we can legally put up a building that tall on that site.
I
So
get that.
so I'm kind of a little bit confused. So I put a balloon up, I mean,
I think a lot of people in town were not happy with the decision that the ZBA made. But they made it, and we have to live with it.
Not this board's purview to revisit those, is it?
No, it's not.
No.
Okay,
No.
that's, I think, what people need to hear.
I think how it works, how I understand it, is that the ZBA says, yes, you can do it, and then the planning board tells you how to go ahead and build it.
Right.
I think that's how it works,
Yeah, I mean.
it's like, not how to build a building, but I mean, for infrastructure and, all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because we have the right to build that height.
That's water over the dam at this point. And while a lot of people may disagree with it, you elected a ZBA, and that's what it is. I had said we would end this at,
Wait a minute, David, you have 5 hands up right now about this issue.
does everybody wish to speak to the balloon issue? Okay, I will take 1, 2, 3, I see 3, 4 hands up on the balloon issue. We'll take those 4 people, and then we really have to move on to something else. We can certainly pick this up at our next session of this hearing. So, gentleman with his hand up, next to Mr. Zert.
Thomas Lockett, Lockett Road. To follow up on Gwen's question, and I refer to the site plan review regulations, Common Enfield Planning Board from October 17th, 2017. Section 1.2.1, promote the harmonious and aesthetically pleasing development of the town, ensuring visual harmony of the sites with surrounding neighborhoods, establishing site designs consistent with and or complementary to traditional New England design, providing adequate green space, open space, providing for proper building location to ensure adequate sunlight and air circulation, and protecting the natural beauty of the town. I think in this case, the planning board kind of has it where we can ask, it seems like we should be able to see a balloon test to see if that's going to be aesthetically pleasing. I know that zoning may have said the building can be this high, but the planning board in their plans say aesthetically pleasing. So I would think that this would have a different impact from saying, yes, you can build it that high, but you say it must be aesthetically pleasing. And that's up to interpretation. And I think that the citizen voices are very important to hear on that aspect.
I agree that, you know, it has to fit in with the town. And we will listen to the voices of the townspeople. Who else had their hand up? Mrs. Buffet. Sharon,
Yes. Just,
mental block, I'm sorry.
I was gonna speak to that, but he spoke very eloquently about it. I think the thing to consider when you were before, you said you're gonna go by the site plan review. I think you even passed out a copy at the last meeting. And, I see on page 17, it talks about perimeter. You guys had a conversation about perimeter and should there be a border and what should it be? It's right in your own regulations. So I suggest that when it might go easier for you guys, if you just follow your own regulations and then say to the developer, this isn't our regulations, you must do this. Not like, should we, who do we talk to or any of that. Speaking about that. Okay. Transparency in the planning board process is mandated by the state right to know law, RSA chapter 991-A. It ensures public access to the board's actions, discussion and records promoting accountability to the people. At the August 27th planning board meeting, please pass this around. There was a request from a planning board member and Enfield resident to have a letter shared with the developer and read to the public regarding the history of Enfield's water limitations. What the solutions have been tried, the problems that were still remaining.
Sharon, that does not have anything to do with the balloon test for the height of the building.
Comment, she can comment on whatever she wants. First Amendment.
Thank you. I'm also dovetailing on what Jean said. We've talked all about traffic. We've talked about site. We haven't talked about water.
We will get to that. We have a whole section on water and I listed the sections. When I went through them, I said, there's gonna be a lot of public comment on that. We're gonna take probably a whole meeting of 2 hours. So please be patient till we get to that subject. Thank you, Sharon. Sharon, thank you. Sharon, this is a 6-month project at least.
Right to know law.
Mr. Chair, she has a right to speak. Let her speak.
I have given her her
She has
opportunity.
not had her 2 minutes.
There is no 2-minute rule. It is a subject rule. Next question, please. Steve.
Steve Patton, I won't waste a lot of your time. I've been digging through this plan. I just want you to tell me when it would be appropriate and who to speak to about this preliminary plans about grades and slopes.
Let me find the section.
There is a slope section in the
Yeah,
ordinance and the regs. And we provided that information to the ZBA at that time and the Conservation Commission. We would be happy to forward those plans and those slope studies and that data forward in these plans. They were already of record. Transparency is key, absolutely. But we have the data and we'd like to, we could forward those.
So I don't want to waste anybody's time.
Yeah.
I just want to know what engineer I can talk to about your grades and contours. I know what they are on the preliminary plan.
Okay.
I don't need
It's up to
any
any
more
engineer who wants
comment
to.
from anybody except David about who I should contact.
I would say, once we bring on our third-party reviewer, who has an engineering team, who is familiar with that subject, Rob, can you make that information available to Steve when we figure out who that person is? Okay,
Thank you very much.
Sealy,
Yes, I have a couple of things. I do agree on the balloon test thing. Cause it's really high and everybody in town, if the lights, they'll see them. And it will light the whole sky. I've said that a million times. But what I did was I had a copy of the plans that were developed, the big key thing. And I was very surprised to see the height of the land, the contours, and the distance between or through a wetland. And some of them are like, some of them like have a 50-foot drop in feet to one place to another where it really impacts onto the wetland, if you see it. And I went through different pages. That was on, of course, I hadn't read the page number on that one. But anyway, all through those, the plans, it just made me think more about, well, this site. They had to take and grade all that down. They got to grade down into the wetlands. And that's for this whole project. They have to do right across the thing. And that really is not in line with the town, regulations. And there are other things, but I'm not gonna waste your time with it. But I just wanted, that's serious. And that's heavy duty, impact on that whole area. So there's my consent.
okay.
I just
Yeah,
have a-
you've already spoken.
I just have a request for, a question that I think the developer would have an answer to. I don't need the answer tonight, but if it can be brought up and read the answer to at the next meeting, that would be great. I just want the
Go ahead.
question brought up. I would like to know if you have an approximation of how many, this is due to the site walk today, but I changed my question. But how many acres of old growth wood will you be, or relatively old growth wood will you be cutting down for the site plans? And do you have any reasonable estimation of how long the undergrowth layer in the fielded area where the larger apartment complexes are going to be near, will take to regrow in and reestablish rooting, the whole hillside and, disturbed ground during construction process. And Thomas Lockett, Lockhaven Road, sorry.
Okay, Dan Reagan, and then in the back, and then I have to cut this because we have two more warrant hearings. And it's been a long day. We've been on a site visit that took an hour and a half. I'm tired. The board members, I'm sure, are tired. And we're gonna have a lot more meetings about Laramie Farms. We can't possibly do it all tonight. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is about the balloon test. So the question is not about heights. You're right, that decision has been made. That ship has sailed, whether we like it or not, it's not. The question is about aesthetics and about giving the citizens of this town the opportunity to have a good look at what it's going to be like. They could have come on the walk today. Only 30 chose to because they're working and doing other things.
Yep.
But the balloon test will give people.
But can I ask you,
Absolutely.
the balloon test? We have a balloon in the air. What is that gonna tell us about aesthetics?
So you'd have multiple balloons in the air. You'd have them that go the perimeter of the development. So that you've got your townhouses, then you've got your apartments, you've got the different heights of those. And they could all see those balloons potentially from where they live. And they can say, oh, I'm able to see it from where I live. They might see it from the lake when they're out there in the summer and say, oh, God, that's where the development's gonna be. Now I understand it. I didn't understand it until I got up there today and I understand it better, but I still don't understand it completely, Steve. So giving the people of the town the opportunity to understand this project and then hopefully get behind it, because people don't have the information they need right now to make a decision.
So if we float a balloon, I've done many balloon tests,
Okay,
a
good.
lot of work. And we're happy to do it, but what it's gonna come down to, and I know what you're gonna do, is, oh, I see the balloon. It's an impact. I see the balloon. Of course you're gonna see a balloon. So what is your, to Steve's point, I'm not sure if the height issue has been resolved, but if you're saying you can see the balloon, so that's gonna say that's an aesthetic issue. And we have many side of the hill farms that you could, towers, everything, you see the balloon. So
Yeah.
if you were gonna say you're gonna see the balloon, then what are you gonna say? It doesn't meet your aesthetic standard. That's not legal. And you know that.
Thank you. So you said a couple of things there that I had said, but I didn't actually say.
Okay, well, we need to know now because it's a big thing. I mean, we float a balloon and you're gonna say, I see it. Therefore, it's not aesthetic. What is your metric on that?
Let me know when you finish.
Well done.
Good, okay. So what we're gonna see is we're gonna see the breadth of the project, and we're gonna see how much of a hilltop does it take up that's currently all trees and everything now. So it's not just about seeing one balloon, it's about seeing, oh, it goes from there to there, and then when I'm on that side of town, I can see, oh, it goes from there to there. And I can envision what it's going to look like, where right now I see trees and I know how I feel about this town. And now I'm seeing buildings that some say look like a prison. What is that gonna do? So it's gonna give people more information in order to have an informed opinion on what they think of this project. Right now, all we're seeing is drawings. And it's gonna be useful. Whether you agree with it or not is not the issue. It's what the person on Main Street think about it. Because we're trying to grant you as much respect as possible when you come in here. And we'd only ask that the people of the town are getting as much respect in return.
I think that you've seen us, our team, exude respect. And you're turning something that's a little different. And when we're trying to be transparent, ultra transparent, and you're turning that around and saying that we're not being transparent.
Again, you're putting words in my mouth. I'm not being transparent. I'm saying this would help.
All right, so that it'll help. If you could see that balloon, then what are you gonna say?
You've already asked that question. I think I answered.
So we already know the answer. So that's. We've been, yeah, right, and, we've been very transparent.
So you're not gonna want it I say the citizens of the town want it. I'm asking the planning board to listen to the citizens of the town as well as the developer and make a decision if we're going to do this or not. Perhaps it should have been done previously, but it's not just about the height. It's about more than the height. So please don't say the height's already been checked. That box is done, therefore we don't have to do it.
Okay, thank you, Dan. In the back, last question.
This is for the board itself. I'm Dr. Tice, and I would like to see the individual items that are going to be discussed at these subsequent meetings put into the notice of the planning board's meeting. The comments that are in there today for this particular issue don't really tell anybody what they're going to be discussing. So when it comes to water, I want to see something in there that water is on the agenda for that particular.
That's a reasonable request and we will comply as we figure out how much we can do in any one particular meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think I alluded to that earlier when I said that Rob and I usually meet a few days after, and we would then go over how far we got and what we think we can accomplish. So I hear your request. We will make every effort to comply.
Thank you.
Okay, people, thank you very much for coming. Board, I think we probably should, what?
We need to make a motion to continue the hearing.
I'm not,
Oh, I didn't get that.
I'm not done.
Don't do anything.
You want to talk about, make a decision on the balloon test?
Yeah, then you vote.
I don't. You don't?
No.
All right. You can fight with Mr. Dennings about that. He wants to. I'm gonna take a poll, straw poll. Board members, do you want to make a decision on a balloon test?
I suggest that we probably should consult with the town's council before we get into that, because whether we think it's aesthetic or height, the height question's already been decided, and so
Right.
we may be treading in some dangerous territory, and we should probably at least have somebody's legal counsel blessing that that's something that we can revisit.
Okay,
That would be my suggestion.
any other board members have any
I have,
feelings?
yeah, I have to agree, because the term aesthetic is very
It's
subjective.
very, very nebulous. Okay.
I don't think we can use the term aesthetic. Adjust the height of the building whatsoever.
Right.
As Steve said, they now have a right to build the building to the height that they've been approved to.
Also, I think we should get some guidance before we
Yeah.
revisit.
Right,
The aesthetic part of this is really, okay, what's the building look like?
right.
Apparently it's been redesigned and we haven't seen that yet.
Okay. What's the second meeting in October? Could you-
What's the 22?
All right, so we are going to adjourn this public hearing until the 22nd.
I'm gonna continue this.
Continue it, I'm sorry. Until the 22nd of October at 6:30 PM. Place to be determined.
Here's one clarifying question. When we designated this as regional impact, correct me if I'm wrong, was October 22nd the date that we gave the other communities to respond?
That's what I've told them.
Okay.
Yep.
So we should have comments from the
From that.
neighboring municipalities to
Right.
consider on October 22nd.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay, people, I thank you for coming. I'm truly sorry that,
David, do we have to vote on that?
We
Continue.
need to vote on the motion to continue.
okay. All in favor of continuing till October 22nd? Signify by
Aye.
saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We are continuing the hearing, adjourning the hearing, whatever. We will reconvene this hearing on October 22nd at 6:30 PM, location to be determined. Because we might be at Whitney Hall by then. We might
Not
not,
a chance.
not a chance.
Not a chance.
No, Eric?
I got it. It's gonna take some time to get the acoustics
Yeah.
Okay,
figured out there.
Just, can I ask one question about the
yeah,
next meeting? Usually we would do like a big presentation, everybody comes in, and that's not happening here. So who am I bringing for the next meeting? But like, as an expert, for people who have questions, and we can answer them intelligently.
Okay,
You want traffic and lights?
well, let's do traffic. And
Traffic and lights would be good.
So she's got both of his specialists.
all right, if you've got those specialists lined up, let's do traffic and lights.
Okay. Okay.
Good.
And hopefully we can get there.
All right,
thank you.
again, thank you people for
Yeah.
coming. Time is run out. I'm sorry. We'll take a short recess until 8:15. Give people an opportunity to leave.
Yeah, off the record questions of the board.
Off the record?
Yeah,
Sure.
has to be on the record.
And you want on the record? I'm fine with it being.
Yeah.
I was a little confused about continuance or continuance. I would take it as implying that we can still be concentrating and asking
Oh, yes.
questions on the site walkthrough. Because we got very little.
Why we
time.
use the term continuance is
Okay.
because if you adjourn the meeting, then when you reopen it, you have to send out to all of the abutters. If it's continuance, then you don't have to send out to all the abutters because they've already gotten it.
But I was hearing that we're moving on to traffic possibly. I was just wondering about,
We could,
like,
if we've got time.
because there was very limited public
On the site visit.
time, and we spent 2 hours doing the site walkthrough,
Yep.
and it's like, there are so many questions alone from that to me, and it was like, okay, I actually got very little accomplished in the asking. And I feel that was an important thing. I enjoyed that we were able to, I thank the developers for allowing that and bringing us on that. And I just am trying to
Yeah.
be diligent
This
in
is-
things.
Just to put it in perspective, this is the third one I've done of that property, and this is the most expensive of the three that we've done, without a doubt.
And thank you all for volunteering and serving. I know that it's a difficult thing to do.
Keep coming back and keep challenging us.
Thank you.
do.
Okay. Next. Land use case P 250902, Bark and Bevy LLC. Bark and Bevy LLC has applied for minor site plan review to operate an indoor dog park as well as a restaurant at 330 US Route 4. Further identified as tax map 37, lot 32. The lot in question is 0.58 acres in size. It's located within the community business zoning district and is owned by Leo and Darcy Dowd. Bark and Bevy LLC was granted a special exception for the kennel use by the Enfield Zoning Board of Adjustment in August of 2025. So,
Hi,
hello.
I'm Ann Chapin. This is my husband, Marshall Banks. I would
Okay.
just make a point of clarification. We're not an LLC, we're a court. Just
Okay.
for no.
Just court.
Yep.
Okay,
And I think it'll be much easier to talk about puppies and cocktails. So,
go ahead. That sounds very uncontroversial.
yeah, it seems to be. What I would just like to say is we are, from a site plan perspective, not changing anything other than removing tables. We'll add in the dog park. We're taking out quite a few tables to accommodate having the dog park. And we're taking out some tables upstairs to accommodate some other like arcade games and little like quiet little corners. So we'll actually be reducing the number of people that would come in.
Okay. That really doesn't,
Not the number of legs that walk in.
Right, right.
The number of legs may, I don't know, it could double.
okay,
But they don't drive though.
Right.
So.
right. So your parking lot will be less intensively.
Yeah.
It is true.
Yes.
We assume, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. The ZBA has, I don't have a copy of the decision in front of me,
Mhm.
but they have put several conditions and stipulations.
Get that for you.
Do you want to get that? Which normally I think would be under site plan review, but since the ZBA has taken it upon themselves to do that,
Mhm.
I think it would be wise for this board to review those stipulations
Okay.
and conditions, and if we have any additional, then we would be able to add them. And if not, we would be able to say you're approved or not approved and
Don't kick a puppy, please.
send you on your way.
Okay, yes, we appreciate that.
So as soon as Rob can get that document and we'll put it up on the screen.
Yep.
We can take a quick look.
I haven't seen the formal document, so that'll be great. What I recall was, no dogs outside. Which, because of the water, which totally, that's better for us,
Mhm.
much easier. And, it was based on not being open past 8 o'clock. The
Mhm.
two I
Yeah.
took.
It's perfect.
Did you have anything else that?
Okay.
Um,
You got time to think of things. Add in some more.
I guess my only concern
Mm-hmm.
would be that you put some sort of a sally port on the lower level where the dogs go in and out.
Can you tell me what a Sallyport means?
It's like they have at the dog park. You have
The
you
two
have
doors?
two doors and a neutral area.
Mm-hmm.
So that if, I'm opening the door to bring my dog inside.
Yep.
4 dogs don't decide to greet this
Yep,
new dog
Yeah.
and they charge outside onto the parking lot,
Yeah.
and get on Route 4.
We don't want that.
Dogs will be on the leash as they enter.
Right.
To go to the off-leash dog park, there will be that exact situation. Yeah,
Yep.
the double.
Okay, that's,
We don't want that
Yeah,
either.
and we will also, when the people are in the off-leash dog park, there is going to be a 40-inch, 48-inch, 36, whatever, we're still trying to figure it out, fencing around the off-leash dog park that we're gonna be able to limit dogs and small children interacting. You have to be 16 or over to be in the off-leash area. Dogs and small kids don't mix when they don't know each other, so we're keeping that separate as well as having the 2 entry points.
okay, let me understand. When you say the off-leash dog park,
Mhm.
is that part of the downstairs or is that outside?
It's downstairs. It's
Only
all
downstairs.
indoors.
Okay, all indoors.
No dogs outside.
Okay.
We're gonna gut the bottom of where the bar is currently, if you're
Yeah.
familiar. That will be the dog park. We'll have a little fence. People can have a couple of tables, walk by. In the area where the pool table was, the Gazano's, there'll be a couple of self-serve dog bathing stations for the humans to use. The dogs don't know how to turn on water. And so they'll be able to, people will be able to go in and out, but everyone not inside the dog park will be on a leash.
Okay. I guess my only other concern would be regular cleanup of the parking area. Because dogs might decide to do
Absolutely.
their business
Maybe
as
what
soon
they-
as they get out of the car.
Yeah.
And we all know that dog owners are not 100% responsible for cleaning up their
Unfortunately not.
pets'
Right.
messes.
That'll, for sure, that'll be part of our, at least once a day, if not more often. We don't want anyone to step in something and track it in. I mean, it's just not acceptable. I'm also completely, abhor the smell of any of that. he knows.
Yeah.
So we will have staff regularly assigned to outside, right? Whether it's to make sure that it's salted and shoveled and
Mhm.
plowed or dog pickup. Absolutely.
Sure, we'll also have outside, dog bags available
Right.
as well, so, because it happens, we've
Well,
had happen.
Yeah, and my husband and I, many years, we've always had a dog, but we have gone through our own community when we lived elsewhere.
Yep.
And done dog poop pickups, and it's amazing how many times we'd find dog poop next to the bag
Oh, yeah.
and the dog disposal area. People are not good sometimes about taking care of their
Then we
dog.
get the free bag
But
and
we
pick up
have
their
to
own
go.
dog poop
Yeah.
next to the free bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll
Very
take care of
frustrating.
it.
Okay.
Yes.
Questions from board members?
Have one. So animals may not be sheltered at any time on the premises. What does sheltered mean?
We won't have dog boarding.
Boarding.
At all.
Okay.
There's not gonna be, although the ZBA, the statute says we got zoning for a dog kennel, that's just the way that your
Oh.
statute's written. We won't be having cages.
It says animals may not be overnight.
That's
Right.
correct, they won't.
Three lines down, so I wondered how sheltered was
Yeah.
different. It is, is it?
Could be doggy daycare.
Right,
Oh.
we're
I
not
see.
gonna have,
Yep.
yes, there's no cages, which is what it really should say. We're not looking to do that part of the business ever.
Dogs will be gone when we go home.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Yes.
Nate has a list.
Nate,
I
go
like
ahead.
it. Come on, Nate, bring
I
it.
don't know if I have a list.
37 items?
Yeah.
I honestly,
It's only five.
I appreciate your efforts, to bring a new business to the community and, adaptive reuse of that space. That's great. I can't read your site plan. I have very little idea of what is going on with your site plan. I can't read any of the notes in the site plan. The legend is blank. So I have no idea what these various circles and symbols are. I don't know if these are bollards or trees. I don't really understand how traffic circulates through your site or what the full extent. How does traffic circulate around your outdoor seating? There's this kind of arrow that seems to indicate an extension of the outdoor seating, but it's right in between what appear to be some bollards. There's a drive-through window noted on, the one thing I can read on your site plan is drive-through window, but as I looked at your other stuff, there's no food on the first floor, so
The drive-through windows on the
Upstairs.
upstairs.
the drive-through window is upstairs.
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm sorry that is difficult to read. I
I
wish
really
I could help you.
can't read any of it.
I apologize.
And so there's this that
Mhm.
appears to be some sort of hand drawing. What is this?
That it's the roads,
But what is this?
the
with an
building,
arrow?
the building lot. Yeah.
That's the lot.
Mhm.
Okay,
That was old documents we received from the owner, trying to make that work for you.
I mean, see the legend?
Yeah,
There's nothing in the legend.
I understand.
There's arrows.
I apologize. I was understanding in my own way. I understood this to really be much more about parking after we'd gone through the ZBA. My fault, and I would be happy to explain or participate in any conversation. The parking and the traffic is the same way it's been, goes down one way, all the way around the building. When you come back up around, that's at the top, that's where that drive-through window is.
So you will have a drive-through there.
Yes.
So I have a question. What are 19, 20, 21, and 22? Is that parallel parking?
I don't have it in front of me,
Yes.
but yes.
This one here.
Thank you, sir.
The Baltic Street side.
Yeah, but currently,
That's
I mean,
diagonal.
I've parked there right along, like,
That's right between us and the thrift store.
Yeah.
oh, you in the thrift store?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I wonder.
so that's the thrift stores parking, actually,
No,
No,
it's
No, that,
these four are there.
Right.
yeah,
okay,
This lot is the.
this lot
and
is,
that little,
Is-
that area
I
that,
wonder it didn't make any.
it,
Right.
look, yeah, it wasn't
So that's
Baltic.
not-
That's why I was like, wait, that's not.
yeah,
And the thrift store has already said that it wouldn't be a problem if there was overflow. I can't imagine there will be, but in a few years, maybe we'll be successful enough.
I think the key is, right in their application, no changes to the exterior.
Yeah,
So if there's no changes to the exterior, then what's there is already allowed.
yeah,
And so things like the health and safety stuff is very relevant and the
Right.
double doors and stuff, but
Yeah.
in terms of evaluating the exterior, it's allowed.
it is what it is.
And they got permission to have this business
right.
from the ZBA, so I agree, it's a difficult site plan to read.
It's, yeah.
I
it's a change
can't
of
understand.
use.
Yeah, no, so, I mean,
It actually isn't even a full change of use.
right,
It's adding a secondary use.
right,
Because
right.
it's still a restaurant
right.
and it's approved as a restaurant. So all we're talking about is a secondary use of a dog park.
And so, so
We'd
for,
be doing to
can I, sorry, Bill, can I just, Bill, can I just finish? I have a thought to finish. So it may be worth asking for a legible site plan of what is there today.
Right.
But given that there's no changes being made, I think that can just be a condition, and it doesn't have to be a
Right.
full survey drawing, but.
You
I-
want to be able to read it.
Something intelligible
It just,
for the
it
record.
obviously didn't copy well either, because
I,
that's not,
I think when we did Guzano's, when
Mhm.
it changed hands, there was a pretty decent site plan. Do you remember?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, so maybe Rob can get you that
okay.
and we can just swap out the
Sure.
one that we did for
Yeah.
Guzano's for this.
And it'll be a little different. It's outdoor seating that they had, we aren't going to have a lot of seating out there. We don't have wait staff because we're doing dogs and food.
Yeah.
All the food has to be considered takeout. So people can get their food, their drinks, they can take it downstairs, but we're not gonna be serving them outside or any of that. So it's gonna be a little different that way, so that will be reduced. There are no dogs outside.
Right.
That's what was supposed to be protecting the brook. Like, we aren't going to have an outdoor seating area that you can have your dog. We're not
At all.
going to have an outdoor dog park. None of that.
Well, but, I mean, any restaurant that had outdoor seating might often find a customer with a dog on a leash and,
Absolutely.
I mean, that would probably happen with it.
I would hope not, but we will have signage, right? We can't police everybody. And actually, we see it all the time. We don't even, we sign our lease on Tuesday. We haven't done that yet.
People bring
and
their dog
we-
right now.
People bring their dog.
To
Yeah.
nothing.
And so, I mean, while we're open or while people are there, we can absolutely, hey, we can't have dogs out here.
I have just out of curiosity, what kind of food are you serving?
We're gonna have everything that we can have prepared and fresh, but then just build it. So loaded baked potatoes, loaded nachos, hot dogs, meatball subs, macaroni and cheese. Cause kids like that in their happy,
Gotta have kids meal.
giant pretzels, that kind of thing.
Okay. And Bark and Bevy, what's Bevy mean?
Beverages.
Oh, beverages.
Yeah. We wanted it cute.
Rob, while you were out, we were discussing the relatively poor quality of this site plan. And it's our recollection that when we did Guzano's, they had a pretty decent site plan. Can you dig that out and we'll just swap one for the other?
Right now.
Not now,
No, we'll
but
make it a condition.
when we do the,
Sure.
when we do the final thing.
Right.
I would love to see that.
Well, you wouldn't revisit this for another month.
I don't think we have, I think we could make a decision tonight because as Eric points out, there are no external changes. And it's still a restaurant and there's an additional use. So, the ZBA has put a bunch of conditions on, which I don't disagree with any of them, and I think this board probably would have put on similar conditions. If you think of any other conditions that need to be added, we can certainly consider those. What else would you like to see?
Honestly, I'm not prepared to consider this to be a complete application from my perspective. I can't read the site plan. I don't understand how traffic circulates. I don't understand the full extent of where their outdoor seating is in relation to how traffic circulates through the site. I can't read any of the symbols. You know, yes, minor site plan review is a low bar, but there is still a bar of having the key elements of the site on a site plan, including but not limited to parking spaces, driveways, wells, septic system, surface water, wetlands, pedestrian facilities, sign locations, lighting, and utilities. I can't discern from this what is happening on this site, and I'm not prepared to consider this to be complete without a site plan I can read.
Okay. Rest of the board agree with Nate?
I don't necessarily agree. I'm not sure I think it's an exercise that's going to result in the same conclusion, the same decision. I think maybe, and I'm actually kind of surprised at some of the restrictions on here that seem. I'm not sure why they went to the length they did, but they did, so. They're okay with it. You guys are happy with it, that's.
Could I propose something that, we vote on it now, conditional on just as soon as they can provide this other paper to put in, that we can, just to move them ahead a month?
And assuming that site plan indicates nothing other than what we talked about tonight.
Mhm.
Yeah. I could do that. That feels. to me
Condition.
okay. Yeah, condition.
Condition on a site plan acceptable to Rob? Is that?
And David.
And Nate.
Andrew?
David. Well, yeah, David's gonna have to sign it.
I get it.
David's gonna have to sign it.
Right.
I'm comfortable with that. Linda, comfortable with that?
Well, I suggested it, so I am.
Well, I just had to check.
You're just checking. But I'm sensing that we're crossing the line just by the eye action over there.
It doesn't have to be unanimous. I have no issue with your proposed business. I don't love the precedent of.
Yeah, and that's the part that bothers me too.
So I don't think I don't think I could consider this to be a complete application to the point.
Here's
where I
one,
can place
here's one for you. Can we bring it back next week? Will we meet on October 1st?
No problem with
We
me.
could do that.
God bless.
Continue.
Continuance.
All right.
In the meantime, come up with a readable.
Get
schedule.
something.
Yeah, Rob will do that.
Flow.
You
Right.
bet.
Do you have any comments from any of the butters he needs to take down though?
Oh, yeah.
Do we have any comments? Let's take some comments.
Say about it.
Public.
Public, we can go with public.
Somebody may have said butters, but I'm saying public.
Because I didn't see a list of what the zoning board required. I was at the zoning board meeting for this discussion. I'm sorry, what is your name?
Anne,
Yes, hi again.
Hi.
I remember meeting.
yes,
So I remember just a couple things for clarification. I thought that this, oh, thank you. I thought that the zoning board said, okay.
There's a bulleted list there.
Yeah, I'm reading that. So with the brook must be protected from all dog waste, that was quite an extensive conversation. And it seems to me, they didn't put it on here, but I thought that they said no eating outside. Because,
they did not. They said no dogs.
okay,
Yeah.
and then, but I also thought that they said that you had to have a designated space for people to bring their dogs, like I arrive in my car take my dog out of the car and bring them to a designated space, and you were gonna have a little yard.
That was our proposal and they just said no dogs. So that's why we'll have to go through the perimeter and just verify if there is anything. Because we can't have dogs, we are kicking around, you know, do we have just a couple of tables then, you know, so kids can hang out with their parents, whether need to get their exercise out, but we're not planning 12 tables. We're, you know, benches and whatever.
You're talking about outside.
Mhm.
But I thought there was a designated poop area for the dogs.
We had planned on it, but they said no
They said no.
dogs.
No dog,
So
Oh,
the way we read the exception was
Right.
don't even make a spot.
right?
Right.
but I thought that was all about so that the dogs wouldn't poop inside.
No, we wanted to poop
They-
inside. That's the
they're-
whole
We
plan.
would rather they poop inside.
Yeah,
That's on the ground floor.
versus.
Right, where we have
We're
it set
making
up.
it so they can, and so it stays.
So we can disinfect, clean it up immediately. No one's gonna step in it,
Right.
all those things.
Okay,
Yeah.
are you still gonna ask, you had said at that meeting, you were gonna ask if I was eating upstairs, my dog was downstairs and my dog pooped. You were gonna ask me to leave my food and come downstairs and clean.
That would be the expectation.
Yes.
People might be in the middle of whatever, but we
Perfect.
will have a staff member 100% of the time we're open in the off-leash area to manage that.
Okay, I mean, it sounds like you're working it out. And did you say, last question, did you say that there would be any food downstairs?
People can bring their food
We
downstairs.
can't serve it downstairs.
But
They
I
can
thought
take it.
there was something from the health department that absolutely dogs and food do not mix. The dogs cannot be on a floor where there's.
Food preparation has to be separate from the dogs, but customers can take it down. We can't serve it down there. Customers can go up and down, and that was one of the questions because the state health and the city, the town health didn't have an exact. We got back and Vinny was absolutely followed what the state health department said, which is the customers can go back. Dogs can't ever.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions or comments from the public regarding Bark and Bevy's proposal? Hearing none, I close the public hearing. No, I don't.
You continue.
I
it,
don't.
David.
I am continuing the public hearing to October 1st at 6:30 PM right here.
Lovely.
And we need to vote on that, right?
Yep.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
We appreciate you.
We'll see you next week.
And we always appreciate the conversation. It's all
Good
good.
stuff.
Very
Thank you.
good. Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you all. You've had like. you said,
Long day.
Tell me about it. Okay. Next. We have land use case P 250903, Jennifer and Keith Anderson. Jennifer and Keith Anderson have applied for a boundary line adjustment approval. They are seeking to change the lot line location between their property at 57 Buttman Road, tax map 19 lot 8, and their neighbor's property at One Star Drive, tax map 49 lot 7, owned by Britain Property Management LLC. Both of the impacted parties are located within the R3 zoning district. Scott Sanborn of Cardigan Mountain Land Surveys LLC is assisting the property owners in this matter. Scott Sanborn, it's good to see you again.
Mr. Frapp. Yes, I think I've got a fairly quick one to wind you up with tonight here. The short backstory is that I was, retained by the Andersons to do some work on figuring out setbacks from the lakes and from the boundaries, and in the process of that work, we found that, there was some landscaping features predominantly, consisting of heavy, gravity block retaining walls that had been built over the property line. So that ballooned into a little bit more, as you might imagine. The Andersons have kindly agreed to transfer a small piece of their lot to the neighbors, the Britton properties, which is Brian and Tina Stearns. Rather than ask them to remove the structures, they have decided to solve it the easy way between the two of them. So that is what we're here asking for approval of. It's the, we're dealing with about 2,700 square feet that will be going from the Andersons, which is currently 8,500ths of an acre, bringing it down to 7,900ths. The Britton property is currently 1.02 acres. That'll increase by 0.06 acres. The frontages will remain conforming with zoning. Both lots are already non-conforming. We are exempt from state subdivision approval because it is transfer between two properties. And it's not being used for sewage, and the state also has a provision in their statute. It says where it's lines being changed due to necessary changes because of errors in the survey, access or siding requirements, or errors in building locations, et cetera. So we're clearly exempt from the state subdivision review here. The only real question is whether we need a equitable dimension of waiver from the zoning board. I came into this under the impression that we would, since we're making a non-conforming lot more non-conforming, but in conversations with Rob, he's not sure if that's the case. So maybe Rob can explain his thinking on that, if you don't mind.
So when they came in for the setback, I mean, for the conceptual, I thought that it was a two-part process that we needed to do. We obviously need to move the line, as he's just explained. But I thought that we still had setback, even with the line moved, we still had setback intrusion that needed to be taken care of, and that we were gonna do it through zoning with an equitable waiver. And if you guys approve that tonight, the equitable waiver would need to go to Brian and Tina. That would be their application because they have the setback intrusion.
Well, that's, their setback issue disappears with the moving of the line. What doesn't disappear is making a non-conforming lot slightly
Oh, yeah.
non-conforming.
Right.
So that's,
Remember when we had the discussions with, I believe it was Barbara Rule.
Yeah.
I had reached out to both our attorney and the municipal association attorney. And the idea that back then we were like, no, we can't create a lot that is not conforming. And both lawyers were like, no, you guys are sort of being too hard on yourselves. That there's the pursuit of perfection is the enemy of progress. We're just not going to get to perfection, especially with the town that pre-existed to 1991 with all these non-conforming lots. He didn't think that was what you guys needed to do. You can absolutely make accommodations.
Yeah,
You did for Barbara Rule.
But the rule one was making that lot more conforming. Because she
Correct.
was taking
But it
two
was non-conforming
non-conforming.
still.
I agree, but it was more conforming than it was with the two separate.
I think the term is less non-conforming.
Right. Because she was taking two small lots, making into one, but it still was going to be a non-conforming lot. But it was less non-conforming. In this case, you're making one that's more non-conforming.
I still. How do you characterize the other lot then?
And what another key distinction is that the rule case created a new lot.
Right.
This does not create a new lot.
Right.
It makes one less, one more. And that's why, this one is.
Yeah.
A little different from that.
Oh, I agree. It's different.
and for the record, I'm not trying to push one
No,
way
no.
or another,
Yeah.
just whatever, we have the zoning application all ready in the queue, ready to go if it's needed. If you decide it's needed, I would simply ask for an approval conditional upon the equitable waiver of dimension that we're asking for. And if you don't feel it's necessary, then we're one and done and we can all move on. So entirely up to you folks.
Cause I think eventually you're probably gonna have another one from the other one we talked to, same night that these
I
guys
know.
came conceptually. Again, we're trying to clean up messes. I mean, it's basically,
Yeah.
and I thought that the attorneys,
Okay.
opinion was, you guys absolutely have the authority to fix stuff.
Okay,
You're never gonna get to perfect. I just
No.
think that's an
I know.
absolute impossibility for perfection. So, I mean. it's just-
And I,
Yep.
just, I'm looking back at the August 13th minutes.
Right.
Where we had this conceptual. And the whole discussion basically led to, the board agreed that the next appropriate step would be to seek an equitable waiver from the ZBA.
right,
That was where we left
right.
this at the conceptual level.
I do have an
5
application
weeks
Which is
ago.
non,
on the
So-
table.
Why would we not, what's the reasoning for not going through an equitable waiver now? When we said the appropriate next step would be to seek an equitable waiver from the ZBA.
I think we were agreed then, and I think we should be agreed now that an equitable waiver is the appropriate avenue to take. But I also hear whoever it was that said we could approve it now conditioned upon the zoning board granting said equitable waiver.
I think we also have new information from the attorneys that Rob spoke to saying that we do have the authority. We were, in August, we didn't think we did. And also, if you look back at the ZBA, we'd have to pull up their minutes, meeting around the rule case. They did not feel
Right.
that they should have been, that she should have had to go to them.
Yeah.
They had the opinion at that time that the planning board had the authority to do it as well. We could confirm that, but
Do we have a legal opinion on this application, or are we applying a legal opinion from a previous application to this?
No, I haven't spoken to the
Okay.
lawyer on this one, but I would say it's very much applicable. And I do have, speaking to our previous zoning administrator, that he said in his tenure, we did several very similar to this. And he was like, because I was saying that they're gonna hold out till it gets to perfection, and Jim was like, well, we've done this several times. He thought it was up to a dozen times in his tenure, obviously 25 years, but I mean, I'm, if you guys, we do have paperwork for the ZBA. So that's gonna happen next month on the table. And so if you wanted to do it conditionally, I think that would sort of take care of this. It's up to you guys. Again, we're trying to clean it up. That's what we're trying to do.
What's the sense of the board? What do you wanna do?
I think we have the authority. I think they have a good plan. I think we should prove it.
Without the equitable waiver?
Yeah, I think we should
sure.
try to make
Yeah,
less,
we'll do the.
less
we can do the
bureaucracy.
boundary Adjustment.
Linda?
I agree.
Tim?
I think I agree. I mean, the property owners are in agreement, yes.
Nate?
I'm quite sure they will be, yes.
I would be agreeable to doing it conditional upon an equitable waiver. Not sure I'm ready to make the leap all the way to not having it be conditional on an equitable waiver.
Paul, how do you fall?
I agree without the waiver,
Without the waiver?
without the waiver.
And we have a full board, so Bill, you're not on this, are you? No. Nate, I think you're outvoted.
I may be,
Right,
that's all right, it happens.
Somebody care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, the lot line adjustment in land use case P 250903 as presented.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, raise your hands. Opposed? The ayes have it.
You need a vote.
Appreciate that.
She doesn't have hands, our
What?
minutes person,
Our minute,
6 to 1.
6.
I noticed in
Yeah.
there
Oh,
that
yeah.
he was noting what each person's vote was. So you should.
Yeah.
We should say our names.
That was because you were, or somebody was remote.
That's good.
Yeah.
Eric was
That was
remote that
Eric was
day.
remote.
They call
Eric was
When we were
remote
doing-
that
I was
day.
remote. Roll call. For a virtual member.
Yes.
I think, Dr. Okay, so
Dr. Buffet.
Seems that this seems to be drawing too close before you adjourn. I just wanted to make the point of information that the board members, each full quorum at this meeting, have now in their possession Tim's letter, which makes it a public record.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you. And we will take it up at the appropriate time.
It can be discussed.
Yes.
All right, so we have voted to approve this. Scott, thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Scott.
Well, thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Appreciate your consideration as always. I don't have, I'll let Milo over to you next week. And, I'm sure how it's gonna play out. And, don't pick up, put up my bill, fees on this one yet, so. Send me that, and, send me the Milo.
You don't mind, I'm
So the hour being late, I would suggest that we take up the rest of the agenda at our next meeting on October 1st. Is the board agreeable to that?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Done. We are adjourned at, looks like about 8:52. Thank you, people. This has been a long day.
Is this an edited version of the first one you sent me, or is this the same one? What's the date? August 23rd. Same one. Okay. You said you had a new one, right? Already sent it to you. Yeah.
Right. So you want the new one,
David, no. Sharon called me 2 days ago.